Welcome to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprofit.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Profit Podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and today we're talking week 2 in the NFL. We're going to break down all the games that happened today and give our take and what we, anything we saw that was interesting in these things. So we're just going to jump right into this, get going. Bengals Bears is the first one on our list, and the Bears get the win today, 20-17. I guess one of the stories, and this is Andy Dalton getting hurt. So Justin Fields comes in. He didn't really do much with that, but this is more going forward for Justin Fields. If he's the quarterback, there's just a lot more potential, you would think, with this offense, or possibly. At least we would hope there is, right? But I'm not sure. I'm just not sure yet. It'd be interesting to see if he becomes the player next week. But he was 6'13", 60 yards through a pick. It wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. So I'm not sure what we're going to be expecting. Everyone's been clamoring for Justin Fields, but maybe it's not going to be as pretty as they wanted it to be. Bengals aren't necessarily that great either to play. I mean, they're not that dominant of a defense. So I don't know. Andy Dalton was 9 for 11 for 56 and a touchdown before he came out. So he looked a lot better than Fields. But I still think Fields is definitely somebody to look at, because just that running ability. He got 31 on the ground. It's going to make him interesting if he's the player. But in this one, other than that, you got David Montgomery had 20 carries for 61 for the Bears. Darnell Mooney, 6 for 66. Robinson, only 2 catches, 24 yards, but it got himself a touchdown. So that's it for the Bears. They get the win, though.
Yeah, what does that look like to you? Fields starts, we assume he will. Running ability, not sure. How do you plan for next week, assuming he's going to start? Does that hurt Montgomery? Does that hurt Robinson? Does it help anyone? How Honestly, do you feel about that going into next week?
I truly don't know right now. If we get this Justin Fields, it hurts, but I don't think, if Justin Fields is the guy, gets the whole week, I think it's a different story, right? I really don't think it's going to be what we saw today. I just honestly, I don't know yet. I'm going to withhold judgment until we actually see it for real. It's hard to say. Didn't like that from Allen Robinson, only 2 catches on 4 targets. That's not great. And a lot of that was the Fields.
Yeah, and 2 games in a row. Luckily, he caught the touchdown this week.
Right. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll find out.
We'll see.
Yeah, even Montgomery is getting the bulk of the carries. That's not going to change. But at the same time, you do wonder if Fields will poach touchdowns from him. Obviously, running back is so hard. You're not going to go away from Montgomery. I'm not going to make that snap decision, but it will be very interesting to watch moving forward.
Yeah, and Montgomery, this is what he was just safe because not a great day for him, really. But he had 23 touches, and that's 79 yards. It's not great at all. Nothing about that's great, but it's just a lot of volume where your worst days are going to be like almost 8 points in standard and, almost double digits, whatever, or double digits in PPR. So that's why he's safe, even if it's not a pretty game at all.
Yeah. And speaking about safe, if it's not a pretty game, we can say the same thing for Mixon on the other side. So
yeah, he
had the same thing, right? 20 carries.
He had every single carry they had, all 20. Only 69 yards, and he caught only 1 ball for 2 yards. So he had 21 touches for 71 yards. And both these guys, it's a similar situation where they're just going to get all of the work. So even on a bad day, it's going to be good output for them. But that's, not just ugly all around in this one. Burrow, 19 at 30, 207, 2 touchdowns, but 3 picks. Boyd had 7 for 73. Higgins, 6 for 60, a touchdown. Hey, Chase only caught 2 balls, but one was a 42-yard touchdown. So he saves his day if you started him. But it's not a great all-around offensive day there. So
no. And what, didn't the 2 touchdowns come in? Was that both in the fourth? They're definitely late. They're definitely down the stretch of the end of the game. But yeah. This could have been disastrous for them. They still didn't get the win.
Yeah, but they only had 3 points going into the fourth.
And I know a lot of people were playing all these guys, so that is not what you wanted to see. Especially the Bears didn't look. They have some really nice players, but they didn't look dominant in week 1 defensively. No. You're hoping for more. I'm not sure which one. Week 1 looked a lot better, obviously. Week 2, a lot worse. How do you feel Cincinnati moving forward? Like, do you still feel safe about playing Higgins, Chase, Mixon?
I don't feel safe about playing Chase. I don't feel safe about playing Chase at all. It's too it's big play dependent right now, and it's just happened to be 2 weeks in a row he's got that big play. I don't feel comfortable with that. Higgins seems relatively safe right now for me. Chase, though, I mean, a lot of times you're going to play him as like a third or a flex or whatever. He could get that big play. We'll see if we can get some more, more targets, more catches involved with it. But the big play stuff always kind of worries me. Yep. All right, let's move over. Browns, Texans. Browns win 31-21. Baker Mayfield, 19 of 21 for 213, a touchdown, threw a pick, ran a touchdown in. So an okay fantasy day for Baker. Nick Chubb runs the ball 11 times only, but gets 95 yards out of it and a touchdown. He got 1 catch for 3 yards. Kareem Hunt, 13 carries, actually had more carries than Chubb, but only turned it into 51 yards. He also had 1 catch for 2 yards. Not much going, on the receiving end for these guys, but it's a split in the backfield too. Chubb's the better player, though. He just is. He's been the better guy, and he still's the better guy. Receiving wise, Jarvis goes out early, so he only had 1 catch for 9 yards, and then it's just a mixture of different, like Hunter Bryant, the tight end. Austin Hooper catches 5 for 40. Higgins 2 for 27. Just nothing really here. Just Felton, the rookie, who I kind of liked out of UCLA because he was could play all over the place, right? Gets a 33-yard touchdown catch. It was a good play from him, but 2 for 51. Not really relevant though. Yeah, just interesting day fantasy wise there, Chubb. You're happy you got the touchdown and the 95 yards, but you would have liked some more volume. That's the worry there. That if that's the kind of volume, that's not sustainable, most likely.
That's a rough one. Yeah. And I mean, the passing game just feels non-existent. I mean, I guess good for Baker finding kind of his pocket where he wants to be at, but that is it's a rough place to be. If you can't pass it all, I feel like you eventually will struggle a little bit. Chubb and Hunt are great. I mean, what do you make of Hunt right now? Do you feel safe putting him in your lineup, or do you want to watch him kind of heat up a little bit more?
I'd still be fine. Hunt's going to get that double-digit carries most of the time. I'm good with playing him as like a flex. On most situations, if you have him, you probably drafted him to be your flex, and that's probably where you're going to put him. So I'm good with it. Yeah. The receiving game, though, we need to see if hopefully Odell comes back next week. That's what we really need to see. If Odell comes back, that can change things. Because if Jarvis is there or not, we don't know. But they need Odell back, make it a little more dynamic, and that's what we'll be looking for. Texans side of things, Tyrod looked great until he got hurt. 10 for 11, 125, a touchdown, ran one in. He had a good day. And then he gets the injury, and Davis Mills comes in. And it's 8 for 18, 102, touchdown pick. But Tyrod, if he's able to go this week, Thursday, I mean, he's a decent streaming option. He's like, it's very solid to what I've seen from him so far. Hopefully the injury is not going to linger. And it was a hamstring, I believe. So hopefully it's not anything that's going to linger too long, though. But he looked solid while he was out there.
Yeah, guy can't catch a break, but yeah, right. He does. He's finding a way to get it done, and man, he was really efficient on top of everything else. So, yeah, he's just looking like a very solid quarterback out there, and he's not working with a ton of people besides for maybe Brandon Cooks. I know we're jumping over the running backs, but Brandon Cooks, man. I know we talk him up every once in a while. You weren't sure what was going to happen this year, but it's pretty clear they're going to force feed him the ball. 14 targets today, 9 receptions, 78 yards and a touchdown. He's looked very good, and there's no one really pulling, eyes away from him. So I've been very impressed with what he's been able to accomplish so far in week 1 and 2.
You got 50% of the targets today, 14 targets. No other player had more than 2 targets. He had 9 catches. No other player had more than 2 catches. It was David Johnson who had 2, and everyone else had 1. He had half their catches, half their targets. I mean, he's the guy. It's as ugly as it may be. He's the guy right now. So, because the ground game, there's just not much there. Mark Ingram's leading the way, but it's 14 for 41. David Johnson 6 for 25. Philip Lindsay 5 for 2. There's just nothing there on the ground. So this Houston team is going to be interesting. If they don't have Tyrod this week, it's going to be ugly. He's the only thing that keeps them going. I think Davis Mills it's going to be an ugly game if they don't have him. It's just going to be ugly. All right, so let's go over to Rams Colts. Rams win 27-24. I guess the story from here is it seems to be, we've seen through 2 games right now, Cooper Kupp is the favorite target of Matt Stafford. That's pretty clear cut right now. And move Cooper Kupp up your rankings list, because this guy is, if this is how it's going to be, and we've seen it for 2 games, he's he's going to have a big year. Stafford was 19 to 30, 278, 2 touchdowns and a pick, and Cooper Kupp caught 9 of those for 163 and both touchdowns. He had 11 targets there. I mean, Robert Woods had 9 targets, but it seems like Cooper Kupp's getting the better targets. Just he's getting up there because Woods was 5 for 64. But that's really it. On the receiving side of things, Darrell Henderson caught 3, Van Jefferson caught 1, Higbee only caught 1, which is kind of disappointing. But Stafford and the Stafford to Kupp connection looks like it's gonna be pretty good for fantasy right now.
Yeah, I'm really loving what I'm seeing, and I feel like this is a return to kind of glory for Kupp. You know, after he had the amazing year, then he got the knee injury, and they came back, wasn't quite the guy, and Woods kind of took over for him. But man, he's definitely has a connection with Stafford. Stafford looks really comfortable. He looks really good in LA already. And yeah, the weird part, I don't know Woods is definitely in the scheme. I mean, they're definitely trying to get him the ball, but I don't know. It's kind of a strange one. I don't know if it's just the play that gets dialed up just isn't as good currently, or if it's him and Stafford still aren't quite connecting at the same rate him and Kupp are. I'm not sure which one it is, because every time Woods gets the ball, it feels like he doesn't really have a place to go, or he's not moving forward down the field. It's kind of like, okay, throw it. I kind of have to stop, grab it. Where am I going? Coop is already like open. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Oh yeah.
Cooper Kupp has got it figured out already. So I do have to say, like, Cooper Kupp, we already knew that he has the talent. So if he's not like skyrocketing up your boards right now, I don't know what you're watching. You're definitely not watching the LA Rams play. But I don't know how Woods isn't going away. He's going to catch. He's going to do some. He's going to do some really nice things this year. Cooper Kupp. First of all, do you assume that he's going to continue on this kind of tear?
I think I don't see what's going to stop it. I already ranked him this week. He was like my 13th or 12th or 13th receiver going into this week already before this day. So he's going to be top 10.
Yeah. And I'm in agreement with you. The way I'm watching him do it, I really think this is sustainable. And he looks really, really good with Stafford, and he looks extremely healthy at the moment too. Henderson went out of the game. They brought Sony Michel. That's all good and fine, but it does feel like they're going to be a pass first offense, and whoever is healthy as a running back, they're going to be the people that pick up the slack. If people are kind of sleeping on Cooper Kupp at the moment, how much would you be able to trade for him? Would you feel comfortable giving up a couple of guys that maybe had big games or have not kind of provided the value you thought they were going to? Is there anything in your mind right now where you're like, I'm going to try to go get Cooper Kupp before he sustains a couple more games of this?
I'm not sure what that player would be. I just don't know who's going to trade Cooper Kupp right now. I mean, I feel that people will, because you're going to sell high, right? I get it. Right. You're going to try to sell high, but you're going to try to get something good out of it. But if I have Cooper Kupp, I don't want to trade him. I don't think you're going to. I honestly don't know what you're going to get for him. I can't see that. I'm trying to think of players.
If someone needs a running back, that's is where my mind immediately goes. Because you're right, like wide receiver right now. I'm not sure who you would give up. I mean, we'd be jumping ship a little bit, but we could talk about Evans. He has
I'd still trade Evans for him. I'd trade Evans for Cooper Kupp all day. I'd want Cooper Kupp over Evans.
Yeah, I would too. So I think Evans is a good one because he had a big game.
Yep.
And then I don't know if there's a running back you just desperately need to get one. They might give up Cooper Kupp for, and I once again fill in the blank. I mean, I feel like every running back, no one's done extremely well. But you could give them one of those high potent guys, right? Like you're going to get a lot of carries. Maybe they didn't do well, but Montgomery, I'm not sure. Would you go that far if you had
if I had Montgomery, I would trade him for Cooper Kupp.
Okay. Yeah. So if you have the depth at running back, you would be willing to give up something like that.
I would, for sure. I definitely would. Cooper Kupp, he's going to sustain. I see this being something that's going to last all season. So like you said, I'll say jump over to the run game. You saw Henderson did go out of the game with the injury. He had 82 total yards before that and a touchdown. He was having a solid day. Don't know what the injury is going to be here yet, but Sony Michel came in and looked pretty good too, actually. 10 carries, 46 yards. So we're going to wait and see what that's going to be. Colts side of things, Wentz 20 for 31, 247, touchdown and a pick, and he leaves with an injury, which we don't know how serious that is yet either. We'll find out. Michael Pittman had a good game after just really not much in week one. He is 8 for 123, but that's with Wentz. If Wentz is hurt, don't feel as good. This might be a good sell high opportunity on Michael Pittman, honestly. I don't know. I don't know if this is the breakout you're coming or if this is the time to sell high. It's, You never quite know, but if you could sell him right now and get something, I might do it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Wentz, it looked like his leg got trapped behind him when I think it was Darnold was tackling him. I don't know. I mean, that one looks more like an ankle sprain. You never know how bad those are going to be. But if Jacob Eason is going to be in there and be the starting quarterback, I agree with you. I don't think Pittman is going to be worth a whole lot. Unfortunately, he's not even a name yet. Like, you have one good game. So I'm not sure what kind of value he would bring back, but I do agree with you. I mean, but that all depends. But maybe once I don't know. It didn't look that serious, but we'll find out.
Yep. Then Jonathan Taylor, 15 carries, 51 yards, 1 catch for 2 yards. Not great. Not great at all. He had 56 yards rushing in game 1 and then 51 in game 2. He had 60 yards receiving at least in game 1, so it made him a lot better. But the rushing, you'd like to see a little bit more rushing yards than that. Not loving that if you're Jonathan Taylor. If he's on your roster, not a big fan. But I'm not too worried yet. I'm not over. I do think that we got to get that offensive line healthy again, and I mean nothing is going to help if Wentz is hurt at the moment. But I'm not panicking quite yet on him. Then let's go over to Buffalo, Miami. Buffalo shuts him out 35-0. Josh Allen.
There we go. That's Miami we love,
right? Josh Allen throws for only 179 yards, but 2 touchdowns, a pick, 5 carries, 35 yards. Not a massive fantasy day. He hasn't really put together that yet, but I guess it wasn't needed today. Devin Singletary, 13 carries, 82 yards, boosted by a 46-yard touchdown run. He's had 2 solid days in a row, but Zach Moss comes in and he's the goal line guy yet. 2 touchdowns for Zach Moss. That's just what he's going to do. And
just when you thought that maybe you could figure out a way to use one of these guys, they come in and do this. I mean, what are you feeling? I mean, Zach Moss being the goal line guy seems to be, if Josh Allen gets back on track to what he was doing last year, does he seem like the safer bet? How are you going? Because once again, I don't want to fall into the same trap I did last year, where I do think that Devin Singletary, when given the opportunity, looks pretty good. But we've fallen into this before where you think he's going to do that, and then Josh Allen starts moving around back there, running a little more, and it completely, takes away all of Singletary's possible value. And then on top of that, they put in Moss on the 1-yard line. How are you looking at this? Has anything changed? Can you use these guys? Who would you rather have?
I don't want to use either. I don't know if I want either. With Singletary, take away that 46-yard run, it's 12 for 36, and there's not much there. And Moss is stealing those touchdowns. I guess in a pinch, I'd rather have Moss because you think he's going to get a possible goal line carry. But I mean, you feel like at some point these are going to go to Josh Allen. They just haven't yet. Those 2 today didn't. But I don't love this run game. I don't. Even if Singletary's looked okay, I don't want a part of it. I mean, in bye weeks, I guess you're going to have to. But Singletary, I guess, is going to. You'd think he'd get more carries, but man, he's just not going to get any goal line work. He has to bust a long run to get a touchdown. I don't like that. I don't like it. I would probably rather go Zach Moss just because of the potential touchdown, and I don't feel good about that one either, though. So Dolphin side, we know there's not going to be much to talk about here. They get shut out. Tua gets hurt. It's a rib injury. Don't know yet how serious. We'll find out if he's going to be able to come back or not. Didn't look great. Myles Gaskin, 5 carries for 25 yards, catches 4 for 21. Not much going for Myles Gaskin this year so far. So if you drafted him, should have listened to me. Sorry about that.
not only that, but I mean, they spread it out. I mean, obviously they couldn't run the ball very efficiently, or why would they? Because they were down so quickly. But and maybe that's why. Maybe you're just like, why use Gaskin right now? But 5 carries for Gaskin, 5 carries for Brown, 6 carries for Ahmed. So I don't know. It does not look very good on that front.
Nope. Jalen Waddle catches 6 balls for 48. Parker, 5 for 42. Mike Gesicki, 3 for 41. Gesicki doesn't seem like it's happening. Just not.
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know what to think. I mean, Brissett can be okay. We saw him be okay on the Colts, but it's nothing to get excited about. We weren't very excited about Tua, at the get-go, especially with what is going on right now. Is there anyone on Miami currently that you would be able to start even at a flex next week?
I mean, I guess you probably can still start Gaskin. If they're winning, he's going to get carries and he's going to catch some balls. So he's still a guy you can play, I guess. I just don't love that. Don't feel good about it.
I was going to say, I mean, he only had 25 yards rushing, but he did have 4 catches for 21 yards. Obviously not great, but at least there's some production there.
Yep. Jeff, I don't know if you see this, but the Travis Kelsey just caught a 46-yard touchdown.
So. And I'm officially down then.
I think that you're down by 21 points now.
That was the quickest turnaround. That is the worst stack of all time. I'm playing a guy that has Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey. So I was just waiting for my lead to diminish, but that's okay. I have Kelsey in another league, so we'll find out. Maybe I'll get lucky on that one. It was a rough day. I started off really hot in week 1. Week 2 has been a gut punch.
You haven't even seen the second half yet of this game, have you?
I haven't. No,
Byron Pringle caught a 40-yard touchdound. Then Marquise Brown caught a 42-yard touchdown. Then Kelsey caught a 46-yard touchdown. It's been an interesting second half.
Way different than the first.
All right, let's go Patriots Jets. Not as exciting as this Ravens Chiefs game. Patriots get the win, 25-6. The Jets look terrible. Mac Jones, 22 for 30, 186. No touchdowns, no picks. Didn't have to do much there. Damian Harris runs the ball 16 times for 62 yards and a touchdown. One of those was great. It was just a ridiculous carry. He looked awesome on that. He's definitely the guy there. Stevenson was not even active the day after last week. Doesn't surprise me after that fumble and then just getting blown up on trying to block. It was not shocked to see that.
I know, that's a rough one though.
Yeah.
The healthy scratch.
Yeah, you knew that. I just had a feeling after last week. James White led the Patriots in receiving with 6 catches for 45. Jacoby Myers 4 for 38. Jonnu Smith 4 for 28. Hunter Henry 2 for 42. Aguilar 3 for 21. It's all getting spread around. The only guy that you really want in fantasy is Damian Harris or possibly James White. Then, especially in PPR, James White in PPR is still good. But Damian, you don't want the receivers. I don't think you even want these tight ends necessarily. We'll see if Jonnu or somebody comes out. But as of right now, it's hard to play a lot of those guys. Damian Harris, though, play him. Feel good about it. So I know you're liking the Damian Harris, even though it's only 60-some yards. It feels pretty solid, especially where you were getting him in drafts. Jet side of things, ugly day for Zach Wilson. 19 for 33, 210, 4 picks. But I said, okay, I'm not gonna people are already writing him off for his career for this. Hey, it's settled down. Peyton Manning threw 6 picks in his first 2 games and threw 11 in his first 4. So
yeah,
let's just it wasn't good, but let's just settle down.
Yeah, exactly. First of all, the Patriots do have a very good defense. I mean, it was on full display. They got a lot of guys back. They're intact. Welcome to the NFL, buddy.
There you go.
I mean, trial by fire. You knew that this was not going to be smooth sailing. No. Not what he was hoping for, but you also, at least you knew where he was trying to go with the ball. It was ugly, really ugly, but one gets batted up, one goes through the hands of someone. The other 2, he was trying to force it because they were down. You totally get where he was trying to do. But man, I'll tell you, it's just one of those where if you're a New York fan, a Jets fan, you have to just be like, not again. But,
right.
Settle down. I think that you guys are on the right track still. But we all knew that, you're not starting these guys right now. The only cold water was the fact that even when they were getting blown out, they were not able to get it to Corey Davis. He had a bad game. That is the only thing that kind of bums me out about the Jets right now, because nothing else, you're kind of like, okay, who could I use in the second half of the year? Maybe that's kind of what you're looking at, right? With Michael Carter and whatnot, which actually he didn't
Michael
get
Carter's
to make it worthwhile, but he's looking better.
We'll see if this translates to anything in the future for Michael Carter. He had 88 total yards in this thing. So it's a solid day, 11 carries, 59 yards. He looked fine. So we'll see. Let's see if that turns into anything. It's hard though with this offense just being so bad.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, without a doubt. But once again, who can you use in the future? And I don't know. What do you feel about Corey Davis? Obviously,
I don't think it's going to be this bad going forward. So I'm fine. I still think Corey Davis is going to be good. It's just the Patriots are tough. It's a tough team to play against, especially for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, rookie quarterback. Belichick was licking his lips, ready for him. Right. But
yep, I'm not too concerned yet. We'll see next week. But right now I'm fine with it. 49ers, Eagles. 49ers win 17-11. This was not much offense in this game. Garoppolo, 22 of 30, 189, a touchdown. Elijah Mitchell led the way for the 49ers on the ground with 17 carries, but only 42 yards. He got hurt at one point. He got touchdown reverse, which was disappointing. Hasty comes in, gets hurt. Trey Sermon gets his first carry and just gets knocked out. Fumbles the ball. Well, actually, they reversed the fumble. They didn't actually count the fumble, but gets knocked out. Everyone's hurt. They're all hurt. They're just all hurt.
I mean, you could have written it better for San Fran. Like we're always talking about who is it going to be, and all three of the guys get hurt in pretty much the same half almost. Like it was ridiculous. Elijah Mitchell, I know that he was a big pickup. It's a rough one. It's just you can't tell how good he is quite yet. Only 2.5 yards per carry does not sound very good, but the numbers don't really reflect it because as you made, I think people have to keep it in perspective. He did actually make a good play. It got reversed, and he also got hurt during this game. So the fact that he came back out
after,
and he got 17 carries, I still feel pretty good about it. I don't know.
And the Eagles shut down the Falcons last week, so the Eagles might just have a good defense too.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yep.
And they did because they shut down the best wide receiver in the NFL, Deebo Samuel. They didn't even shut him down really, but 6 catches for 93 yards. He came back down to earth. Still a good output. Didn't get in the end zone, but 90 yards. Does this kind of bolster you thinking that this is going to be a good long-term play?
I hope so. Actually, with the 49ers in the run game, I just want to bring this up. Jeff Wilson, I think, is going to be the guy to own on this team. I really do.
I love it. We talked about 5 different running backs already through the first 2 weeks.
I think Jeff Wilson's actually going to end up being the guy, and he's not back to week 7 or 8. But Jeff Wilson's the end of season pickup, I think, at this point. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this team. Deebo Samuel, I like. Deebo Samuel is going to, I think, be really good for this team for the rest of the year because even in a game with no offense, he's actually the one guy who's able to do something with 101 total yards. But yeah, 49. I think it's just one of those games that our offense just wasn't there for anybody. Hey, Brandon Ayuk actually got a catch once for 6, but I don't know. Elijah Mitchell, if I have Elijah Mitchell, which I do, I feel okay about next week as long as that shoulder isn't too bad. We got to see what that injury is. I mean, he came back, so you can't think it's going to be too terrible, right? So hope.
Yeah, you would think.
All right, Eagles side here. Hurts, 12 for 23, 190. No touchdowns, no picks, but he ran for one on 10 carries for 82 yards. There we go. There's that floor that we talked about with Hurts and why we love it is the passing was not there today for him. Terrible passing day, but he gets that 82 yards and a touchdown to make it all worth it. That's that's just that's why you get a player like Jalen Hurts. The bad days still are good days for fantasy. Miles Sanders, 13 for 55. Quez Watkins caught that 191-yard catch. It was not even a touchdown. It's crazy to get a 91-yard reception and you don't even get a touchdown. But his numbers look huge with the 117 yards, but it's only 2 catches. Goddard, only 2 for 24. Gainwell, 2 for 18. Devontae Smith, 2 for 16. Not a lot here offensively. It was just a tough game for everybody in this. But Jalen Hurts, I feel good about him. Dallas Goedert, how do you feel about Dallas Goedert? I know you have Dallas Goedert on a few teams.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's worrisome. It's only a 2-game sample. He caught a touchdown the first week. This one, I mean, they just didn't get it going. San Fran, you would like to believe that they do have a good defense. So, you kind of temper that expectation. But I don't like the fact that Jalen Hurts couldn't get anything going. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it does worry me a little bit, but who are you going to go to? Once again, it turns into that tight ends. I mean, even Kittle on the other side of the ball did worse than Goddard. So I'm not sure exactly how much to panic. That's why someone like Kelsey is so incredible to own, right? Or, we'll end up eventually talking about Gronk. Like, is he actually back? He's catching touchdowns like they're going out of style. So once again, I mean, it is very reminiscent of last year of if you have a tight end that is, I mean, there's so few tight ends you can rely on. Everything else becomes TD dependent. And that's what we're saying. And Goddard didn't catch a touchdown this week. So it is what it is at the moment. But I don't have any words of wisdom past that. It's pretty much what it is so far.
Hope for a touchdown.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to the Raiders-Steelers game here. Raiders go 2-0 with a good win, 26-17. Derek Carr 28 for 37, 382, 2 touchdowns. This guy's making himself fantasy relevant right here.
2 games in a row.
It's a thing now. And this is with no Josh Jacobs in there. He had no run game to speak of because Peyton Barber led the way with 13 for 32. Kenyon Drake, that's a crazy thing. Josh Jacobs doesn't play, and everyone thinks, oh, it's Kenyon Drake, right? No, it's Peyton Barber. And then Kenyon Drake was 7 for 9. That was terrible. But the thing with Derek Carr playing this well, it's Henry Ruggs as well. 5 for 113 and a touchdown. Henry Ruggs is becoming a thing here in his second year.
Well, finally they got him down the field. He finally gets that long touchdown, get it out of the way. Thank goodness. And before we move off Carr, I do just want to say he did it against 2 good defenses too, for the most part. So that's even more impressive. He's not doing it against just no-namers. Pitt, they looked really good last week. And, it's not like they let up a ton of points. It was 26, but they're good. So Derek Carr, hats off to him. He is definitely doing it, and he's spreading the ball around a ton. Everyone's starting to get involved, which is very different.
This was the weird one compared to last week where it was just throw every single ball to Darren Waller. And this week it wasn't that. Waller had 7 targets, so did Ruggs, so did Renfro. Drake had 6 targets. So Drake, didn't get anything on the ground, but he did catch 5 for 46. Brian Edwards, 3 for 40. He actually had a touchdown called back. It would have been a lot better day for him. But I like this from the Raiders. It's kind of surprising to see, but Ruggs, I like seeing this from Ruggs, that the guy can play and he get those big plays. It's cool to see.
And that's huge because you would love to be able to put him in your lineup because he is such a huge play waiting to happen. And the fact that it looks like they're finally putting him into the scheme and they're able to move the ball. I think it's 2 games in a row where he's had 300. I could be wrong. I don't have the week 1 in front of me, but I think he went over 350. Derek Carr did last week. So, he went 382 this week. They're starting to put up some numbers as far as passing. So Ruggs is a viable option now out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I don't know where you feel. Do you feel okay? Is he a flex guy for you, or is he wait 1 more week? How do you feel about that?
I'd probably put him in as flex if I needed to next week. I would do it if it's I don't know. It depends on who you're going up against, but from what I've seen in 2 games against good teams, why not? Why not throw him in there? Take it. You get that big play chance. I'm good with trying it. You're not maybe going to expect 10 catches and you're going to be real safe, but he's going to get you something big plays possibly. So I'd throw him in there. Then for the Steelers, Roethlisberger 27 of 40, 295, touchdown, a pick. Najee Harris, 10 carries, only 38 yards out of that, but he saves the day with his 5 catches for 43 and a touchdown. So he's the only running back. So it's not looking great on the ground maybe through 2 games, but he's getting all the work and he's going to be good in fantasy because of that. Juju Smith-Schuster actually did run a touchdown in. Deontay Johnson led the way with 9 for 105, but I think got hurt on the last play of the game. So we got to see what that injury is going to be. Claypool 3 for 70, Juju 6 for 41. So, we'll see what the Deontay Johnson injury is. That's going to make it interesting. But Najee Harris, he's going to get all the work here. If you got him as your running back 2, I think you feel okay because it's just going to get a lot of work. And that's sometimes all you need. Like we've talked about a few guys now. Mixon, Montgomery, they're getting all the carries. It might not be pretty, but, they're going to get you something. All right, let's go Panthers Saints. So this one's weird. Panthers win 26-7. The Saints dominate Packers last week and come into this and don't do anything. I'm going to start with the losing team on this one because Jameis, this was my worry with Jameis. I worried that last week was so unsustainable because it was low volume and 5 touchdowns off very small amount of recent passes. And my worry is what happens when he doesn't get touchdowns. And guess what? This is what happens. 11 for 22, 111, 2 picks. He did run a touchdown in to not save your day. It's still bad, but to make it so you're not getting almost negative points from him. That's ugly. Ugly day for Jameis. Not good. And just, ugly. And in turn, it's the whole team. Alvin Kamara, 8 carries, 5 yards, 4 catches, 25 yards.
Okay. And I don't want to, maybe I pulled off the gas a little bit last week. I was kind of know, because if Jameis was that was the whole thing. If Taysom Hill was the one that was going to be quarterback, how many times I will say this, but it really made me worry about the production of Kamara around the goal line and whatnot. Jameis, I'm not sure what to take on this. I think maybe Carolina's actually decent. I have no idea. I'm so confused at the last couple of games on this one.
Mm-hmm.
But in Kamara, you're not moving away from him. I don't think it's time to panic, because you're not going to get you can't ever get enough for him. But it is a real worry, because what if Jameis does this one more time? How quickly, like how short of a leash do you think that Jameis would have before they start putting Taysom Hill in there for at least, I don't want to say trick plays, but a certain selection of, here, you're going to get these 20 snaps during the game, 10 snaps, whatever it may be. I don't know. How are you feeling about that? Because Alvin Kamara needs a steady dose in the passing game for sure. And then usually, you get him 10 carries. I mean, they don't usually give him a ton, but 10, 15 carries, and he can do some stuff with it. But if you're not moving the ball at all, Alvin Kamara is not going to be the guy that grinds it out. He's not a Chubb. So how are you feeling currently after watching this very, very strange week 1 and week 2? And like you said, it wasn't like week 1 was spectacular. It wasn't like they got a ton of yards. It was just that they were so efficient.
Yeah. And I don't think Sean Payton's going to take much of this before he tries out Taysom Hill, try something different. And I don't think it'll be much. Right now, there's just nobody to throw the ball to other than Kamara for Winston. Marcus Callaway is not becoming a thing right now in the regular season. And there's just no one to throw the ball to. There's nothing there. So I don't know. It won't last long if this is how this offense is going to look. It's just not pretty. I don't know what week 1 was. We're going to see what tomorrow night, what the Packers are then against the Lions. That's an interesting part too. I just don't know what that was. That just
if the Lions end up winning that game, then we just know that things have gone off the rails.
Exactly. All right. So what about Carolina, who maybe is just good? Sam Darnold, 26 for 38, 305, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Solid day from Darnold. He's had 2 solid outings in a row, especially for fantasy, just 2 solid days. McCaffrey, 24 carries, only 72 yards out of that, 3 yards per carry. That looks ugly, but he gets a touchdown and he catches 5 for 65. So he just puts up fantasy numbers. It doesn't matter. He just does. DJ Moore, 8 catches, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Solid day there. Robbie Anderson, only 3 for 38. So definitely DJ Moore is the top receiver here, but Christian McCaffrey is just going to get it done. But and Sam Darnold, he's put himself into the streaming conversation already, if he can play like that. But maybe we'll see. Maybe the Panthers are good. I think they might play Thursday night. I think maybe a Panthers Texans Thursday night. So
could be actually an interesting game to watch.
Yeah.
Let's hope that Tyrod is playing and not Mills. But I don't know. Sam Darnold could put himself 3 games in a row having really nice. I mean, they handed the keys to the castle to him right away too, which I was very surprised at. Like, he had 38 passing attempts. Does it help that you do have Christian McCaffrey and you get free yards? Sure. But he has looked way better than he ever did in New York. So, hats off to him. I wasn't expecting him to kind of have this production through 2 weeks. So, maybe. Yep. I don't want to, I'm not quite ready to say throw him in your lineup, but I just feel good for the guy.
Yep. All right. Broncos, Jacksonville. Broncos win 23-13. They go 2-0. Bridgewater's been steady for him, 26-34, 328, 2 touchdowns. Just really good, solid day. And the beneficiary of that today was Cortland Sutton. Without Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton finally plays like, we thought before the injury he could possibly do. 9 catches, 159 yards, really solid day. The touchdowns go to Tim Patrick and Noah Fant, but Cortland Sutton, he's the clear number 1 until Judy's back. That's for sure. And he looked really good. So it's good to see. Then on the ground, Javonte Williams, 13 carries, 64 yards. Melvin Gordon, 13 carries, 31 yards. So that's what you get. That split is still there. Melvin Gordon caught 2 passes for 38, Williams 1 for 10. Javonte Williams, in my mind, I feel like he's going to take this backfield over second half of the season. I think the guy's good. Melvin Gordon's going to be a part of it, but Javonte Williams, I think, is going to keep getting more and more. At least maybe that's my hopeful. I'm being hopeful there, but I think Javonte Williams is getting more opportunity, looking really good. I'm a fan.
I do think that Javonte Williams, I don't think it won't be a split. I think it'll be more 60-40, 70-30 type of deal by the time we get to the end of the year. I think Javonte Williams just looks better on the ground, but Melvin Gordon does have quite a bit to offer. He's found a way to produce in the passing game. He hasn't had a lot of targets, but at the same time, both weeks he's done okay. And he showed that he could rip off a long run. So he's not out of the picture yet. But I do, he's in a little bit of older running back now. Not saying a whole lot because running backs get old when they're like 25. But Yeah, I guess the biggest question is going to be like, will they use Melvin Gordon along the goal line like later on? So there's a lot to wonder about, but Javonte Williams is looking good. So that's what you want to see. And like you said, Cortland Sutton is the big one here. You wanted to make sure he was back, and I think this is like the welcome back to the land of the living. You're over your injury. You have somewhat like a quarterback that is capable enough of getting you it. And right now he's just getting the job done.
Yep.
He's just making smart plays, and Jacksonville is, they are what they are currently.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence for them, 14 of 33, a touchdown and 2 picks. Not good. James Robinson, 11 carries, 47 yards. He had 3 catches for 17 yards. So, he wasn't like he was bad. It's just, this isn't the same opportunity as last year.
It did feel like Urban Meyer was like, fine. Like we'll get you a few more, fine. I don't know, I don't care. There you go.
Yeah, it's just James Robinson, Myles Gaskin. I hope people don't have too much of that out there. Sorry.
And are you at this point too, are you completely giving up on any hope on any wide receiver on Jacksonville?
Pretty much. Chenault gets hurt in this one, so you don't know what's going to go on there. Chark 1 for 19. He got a touchdown last week. Nothing this week. I don't feel good about that. Marvin Jones is probably going to be the most consistent one here. 6 for 55, a touchdown today. He's probably going to be the most consistent, but I'll just say I don't want anything to do with this pass game right now. Trevor Lawrence might have potential, but it's just not. This isn't the team for that right now. It's not looking good. So I just try to stay away. How about next up? Cardinals, Vikings. Cardinals win 34-33 because the Vikings missed a 37-yard field goal as time expired. It's a terrible way to lose. Kyler, 29 of 36, 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 on the ground as well. But he threw 2 picks, but that's the Kyler experience right there, right? Just amazing fantasy day. And it's just awesome fantasy day for Kyler Murray. They don't have to run the ball much. Edmonds 8 for 46, Connor 8 for 26, because Kyler's just going to do it all right. But I think some of the big deal in this one, Rondelle Moore, awesome day. I mean, this was one of my targets before the draft. I loved Rondelle Moore. I didn't think this was the situation where it was going to work out like great for him because there's a lot of guys ahead of him. But doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. No, I didn't. That was the thing. I liked the talent, but going to this situation, you had DeAndre Hopkins, you had Christian Kirk, you had AJ Green ahead of him. I was just like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but 7 for 114 and a touchdown. I love that. And we'll see if it continues. I mean, a 77-yarder really boosts that too, but targets are there. So I like that a lot. And then was it Max Williams, 7 for 94? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I do love about Arizona right now. First of all, if you have Kyler, you're just like, yes, because he's going to keep you in every week. I mean, he is just playing MVP caliber football at the moment. Yep. I mean, especially fantasy wise. And they're just spreading the ball around. They're not locking into one guy. They're making it very difficult for anyone to guard him. So if you keep throwing for 400 yards, a lot of these guys are going to be possibly, you could throw them in your lineup. Which ones do you really feel comfortable week in, week out right now? I mean, is it only Hopkins, and then after that you're kind of taking your life into your own hands? Or
I think Hopkins, I say Hopkins is the only one you feel great with. Even this was only 4 for 50 something and a touchdown. I think Rondelle Moore is going to have value. I really do. I don't feel great about putting him in the lineup quite yet. Maybe at a flex, but I think if I see another week from Rondelle Moore, I'm going to feel better about it. Christian Kirk is going to be, I think Christian Kirk, he had a good week last week. Okay. 3 catches this week for 65. I mean, really, as of right now, though, funny thing, it's as good as his offense is, Hopkins is the only guy you feel comfortable playing.
Yeah. And that's the thing, though. They spread the ball around so much. I mean, it's really cool to watch, but any of them could put up numbers. So at least you have options. You have a streaming option of these guys. Cause even AJ Green, 3 for 44 and a touchdown. DeAndre Hopkins, 4 for 54 and a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 3 for 65. Max Williams, 7 for 94. Let's wait and find out if that's actually a thing. And then Rondelle Moore comes out of nowhere and 7 for 114 and a touchdown. So they're all over the place, but I think these are the guys you have to look into. Rondelle Moore is obviously going to be a waiver pickup for a lot of people. Should people be leaning into AJ Green or Max Williams as well, as far as waivers or anything to worry about?
I'd stay away from those guys.
Okay.
I don't want anything to do with them right now. For Minnesota, Cousins, 22 of 32, 244, 3 touchdowns. They got a hot start, slowed it down a little bit, and then blew it. And should have won the game. But Cousins was good if you used him as a streamer this week. Dalvin Cook, 22 of 131, no touchdowns, but he looked great. And he got hurt in that thing. We'll see if that lingers, what that's going to mean for next week. But I think he should be fine, hopefully. KJ Osborne had the most most yards for them today, 5 for 91. That's 2 games in a row. KJ Osborne has been a relevant number 3 receiver for them. And he gets a touchdown out of this one. He's an interesting one to look at. I mean, I don't love playing third receivers, like I said, but it's interesting. He's had 2 solid days in a row. So not bad. Justin Jefferson, 6 for 65, a touchdown. Thielen, only 6 for 39, but he gets touchdowns, right? So
that he does. He keeps catching touchdowns. So keep putting him in your lineup.
It seems like they have another option now this year. KJ Osborne doesn't. I mean, that's 2 games in a row. So we'll see if that takes away from anybody else. About Bucks, Falcons, and Tampa, big day here, 48-25 win. Tom Brady at 44 years old is ridiculous. 24 for 36, 276 yards, 5 touchdowns. That's just ridiculous. 5 touchdowns. Not much on the run game. Fournette 11 for 52 and Jones 6 for 27. So the receiving game, Evans 5 for 75, 2 touchdowns. Godwin 4 for 62, a touchdown. Gronk 4 for 39, 2 touchdowns. That's pretty good there. If he throws 5 touchdowns a game, and we can sustain all these guys. Gronk, though, I love seeing that from Gronk. He's definitely looking for him. And Evans, I had a feeling to be looking for Evans. You don't want to have 2 games in a row. You don't want Evans to start, feeling left out of this offense. So get the ball to him. But wow, Tampa's pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, very, very good. Brady is killing it. Gronk is such a great tight end if you were able to grab him, because he was on waivers, I believe, last week. I know you picked him up in a couple of leagues. So that is a really feel-good one. The one question you do have to ask is, obviously, if they have 5 touchdowns, they can sustain everybody. But because they have so many weapons, someone did get left out today, Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Well,
it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen from game to game with these guys.
And is that going to be the thing? Is like Godwin you feel very safe with, and then Mike Evans and Antonio Brown are going to be kind of up and down?
Yeah, I think that's how it's going to be. But
is that how you see it? It's not a round robin or anything like that.
That's pretty much right. But I think and then Gronk's going to rely on those touchdowns, and that's where I think it's going to be. I think they're going to get a lot of opportunity. It's just I don't know. There's so many guys that throw the ball to. It's not always even they score 48 points and still can't sustain everybody. Like last week, they couldn't sustain Evans with it. This week it was Antonio Brown. So every week it might just be somebody. You just don't know when that's going to be, right? I guess play them all. Just play them all, right? And just hope it's their week, right? That's pretty much all you can do. Play them all and feel decent about it, I'd say.
Yeah, until the Bucks throw up an egg. No, until they do what like the Saints did or something, you don't have to worry about it. It's worth the risk. So I'm not overly worried about it.
Falcons, Matt Ryan, 35 of 46, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks. Mike Davis, 9 carries, 38 yards, 7 for 25. I guess if you're in PPR, Mike Davis saved your day with those 7 catches, but he's just not really it. But Cordell Patterson, 7 carries, 11 yards, but a touchdown, caught 5 for 58 and a touchdown. Cordell Patterson's interesting. He is playing a lot. So he's just he could get himself into flex, conversation at some point here. I don't know if it's quite there yet, but he's definitely on the radar. So
yeah, very interesting if you're going to use him on both sides, wide receiver and running back.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And it was good to see, hey, the 2 people you actually care about, Ridley and Pitts, they look good today. They got back on track a little bit. We weren't expecting Atlanta to win, but hey, Calvin Ridley, 7 for 63 and a touchdown. Kyle Pitts, 5 for 73. As far as tight ends go, that is pretty good numbers. And Calvin Ridley with the touchdown, they're going to make sure that he gets his numbers. So I feel like this was a very good thing to see after that really slow offensive start last week. Yeah. I think this is exactly what you were kind of like, okay, that's what I expected.
I'll say one thing. I don't know if the Bucs defense is as good right now this year as they were in that end of the year run, because Falcons did nothing last week and then did decent. We'll see. We'll see if this is a thing or not. Because then Dallas, I'll say Dallas is the next game we'll talk about. They had all kinds of offense against the Bucks, and then nothing this week. I mean, very little this week.
Yeah,
compared to that. So we'll see. We'll see if the Bucks. I mean, I'm not going to look too much into that, but for fantasy wise, I hope their defense isn't that good. It's just it's going to be more shootouts.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I do have to say this: a lot of teams will, when you're beating up on a team, it's very unusual to see like a shutout. I know we saw it with a couple of, like, the Saints had a really bad game, and I know the Dolphins got shut out. But overall, usually when you're here, you take your foot off the gas, you have other people in, you will allow them in the second half to score a few points. And I think it sounds really bad to say, kind of, but I think that's where like Ridley will get that, like, a couple of those gimmies, and that's going to be really important for Ridley owners. So we'll see. I don't know. And also, it's very difficult because week 1 and 2, this is where you're still trying to figure out what team is what do they do well, what don't they do, how much is game plan, how much is one particular player just going off. This week was way different than week 1. So we're still kind of in the dark as far as what defenses are going to do what offense are going to perform well week in, week out. And I think this is a perfect example of it, because this game, and then, if we want to jump over to Dallas Chargers, not what you expected at all either.
I thought this Dallas Chargers game was be a lot more points than this. Ends up being a Dallas win 20-17 with the last second field goal. I thought there'd be a lot more offense here, but Dak only 237 yards, no touchdowns. That's a surprise.
But I mean, an incredible surprise. Not one touchdown. Man, after talking him up last week and knowing what he did in the first few weeks of last year, I don't think I was the only one to think, oh, he's guaranteed like 2 touchdowns a week. Like, that would be like the low. I don't know if they figured out what to do in order to keep him from that, but he didn't look all that good. And he was efficient too. That was the crazy part. They were keeping everything in front of him. 23 for 27, but no touchdowns and interception.
They ran the ball a lot in this one. Tony Pollard, 13 carries for 109 and a touchdown. Zeke, 16 for 71 and a touchdown. That's an interesting thing to see how this plays out between Zeke and Tony Pollard.
Split. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, we'll see if that's something to watch for. Tony Pollard also caught 3 balls. Zeke caught 2. It was really a split there. I don't know what the snap count was. I have to see if that was, if that really was a true split, but interesting. CeeDee Lamb, 8 for 81. Amari Cooper, 3 for 24, but that's Amari Cooper. That's the Amari Cooper experience for you, right?
I know.
It's like Mike Evans. It's like Mike Evans. It's like you're going to get the big games and you're going to get that. He's going to look like the best receiver in the league sometimes. I
don't want to go in on Amari quite yet, because when you don't throw a touchdown and you only throw for 237 yards, not too many people are going to look good. But I don't know. In your mind, is that just solidify that CeeDee Lamb is going to be a safer option week in, week out?
Seems like it, yeah. And Amari Cooper is going to have some big games and then do nothing. I don't know what the deal is with Amari, why that happens, but just does time.
Yeah.
Then for the Chargers, Herbert, 31 of 41, 338, touchdown, 2 picks. Eckler, 9 carries for 55 yards. They didn't really get much on the ground, so that's it. But 9 catches. So no worries, right? Last week was a fluke.
It was a bounce back. Thank you. 9 targets, 9 catches. Well, that is so huge to see.
All right. Then Keenan Allen gets 108 yards, but it's not his normal 10 catches for 108 yards. He does it off 4, which is not a Keenan Allen day. Mike Williams is looking pretty good too. 7 for 91 touchdown. He's starting to look like a player.
Yeah, without a doubt.
5 years.
That's probably the biggest news, because he's a very big part of their game plan. They're giving him a lot of targets. I think it's double digit in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He's looking very, very good. I get to the point where he's going to shoot up my rankings quite a bit. Really, 2 weeks is all I need to see. And especially with this type of thing, it really looks like, hey, this is our game plan. Allen, Williams, Eckler, everyone else fend for yourselves. We'll run it a little bit, but really those are the 3 guys we're going to go to. And we all know Herbert can sling the ball. He didn't have a very good game this week, but he still threw 41 times for 338 yards.
Yep.
So I think that all 3 of those guys will be very playable moving forward. And you already knew that about Allen, obviously, but Mike Williams was a question mark, and Eckler, we wanted to make sure that they were going to throw him back into the 10 targets a game, which he got 9. So that's all I need to see. I think Eckler is going to be very safe.
All right, one last game we got here. Titans, Seahawks. Titans win in overtime 33-30. Tannehill was 27 of 40 for 347, but no touchdowns. So that doesn't help. But Derrick Henry, 35 carries, 182 yards, 6 catches, 55 yards. Massive day for Derrick Henry. And it was mainly in the second half where he starts to wear people down. And that was the difference last week. This is the difference, I guess. Last week, the Titans were down so much they could not keep running with Henry and let him run, like wear down the defense and do this. This week, they kept it closer. They were able to still run the ball. And look what happens. He had 13 carries for 35 yards at halftime. He was doing nothing until the second half. And they keep it close. He's gonna do this if they keep it close. And
I know you said keep it close, but I mean, at halftime, it was kind of looking like it was going the wrong direction again. He was starting to like last week. Yeah.
So I'm glad if it had, it would have been. It could have got ugly if Seahawks come out and got a bigger lead there, but this is what happens if they keep it decent.
Exactly. And that is such a huge game. I was playing him in one of my leagues, so just hats off. What can I do? He's going to score 40. But hey, Julio Jones got into the mix finally. We said not to worry about it. This is what he can do. 6 catches, 128 yards. Great. A.J. Brown, a little upsetting, 3 for 43. No touchdown this time. That's usually where his kind of bread and butter is. They get the win. Tannehill, once again, did not perform the way you want him to. No. How do you feel about that one? Because Tannehill is starting to worry me a little bit. They do not a win. Maybe they get a little bit on track, but it's definitely the Derrick Henry show. If anyone is able to slow him down a little bit right now, the passing game will not get it done.
No, it feels like Tannehill's just in like a streaming category now. He's gone down to those kind of players the way I've seen for 2 weeks from him. I mean, at this point, would you rather play Derek Carr than Tannehill? I don't see why you wouldn't want to play Derek Carr over Tannehill.
Right now, I would, yeah.
Probably like Kirk Cousins even.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
I think you want those guys right now over Tannehill the way what we've seen for 2 weeks. So that could change, but right now I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
so it's gonna be matchup based. But how about Seattle?
It's not like that. I mean, they put up 33 points.
Yeah, and it's Derrick Henry. So I don't know. I don't love it yet. So Seattle, Wilson 22 of 31, 343, 2 touchdowns. Chris Carson 13 carries, only 31 yards, but 2 touchdowns. So good day there. Lockett through 2 games, the guy's putting up numbers. 8 for 178 and a touchdown in this one. And he had 11 targets, same as DK Metcalf. Metcalf had the same amount of targets, but he only turns it into 6 for 53. Lockett's had 2 massive games. He's looking really good right now. DK, we got to get going a little bit. Last week he was saved by a touchdown. So this one doesn't get the touchdown. I'd like to see that going forward. I need to see a little more. We'll see if it flips next week. And it goes more back to DK. So, but Lockett's been good. I think I ranked him 7th this week at wide receiver. Lockett, Cooper Kupp, those kind of guys have jumped into like our top 10 receivers, I think, at this point of the year. So, but all right, here we go. It's all the games. It's a lot of them. Interesting stuff. I don't know what we've learned yet, so we'll find out. Just, I don't know. It's 2 weeks. There's some interesting stuff going on out there. I don't know what to think. Like, I don't know what to think about the Saints. What is that? Like,
no.
Well,
no,
maybe
it's a rough one.
We need one more week, I guess, to really figure this stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the big, it's so easy to jump to conclusions after a week, after 2 weeks, but,
just be patient, right?
Yeah. If it's not, and especially that, it's not if it's Jekyll and Hyde, which is a lot of teams right now,
right?
You just kind of have to wait it out, and you have to believe the people that produced in the past will probably produce. The thing that I'm really looking for right now, because everything has been a little all over the place, is usage. Usage will usually tell you whether or not you can predict that they will, put up points this year in general. Maybe they're not going to be the best, but that is the safest way. And as long as they're getting usage, targets, carries, I'm not going to jump ship yet. That's pretty much where I'm at.
But all right, that'll do it for the recap. We'll be back with the next episode, waiver wire for week 3. Talk to you guys then.